here. I want to bring you all an update on Litecoin. Right now we're at 118.13. We're down 9.66%. There's some important things I want to get into with you today. But first of all, I wanted to start and talk to you by saying this is why we always look at the downside targets as well, guys, and we have to be prepared and we have to have stop losses in and really pay attention to these patterns and when they break to the upside or the downside or busted patterns. And that's the type of stuff that I want to show you today. And what we're going to do, we're going to actually go over this busted symmetrical triangle pattern and kind of have an idea of maybe where we're going to get a nice little bounce out of here. And in my opinion, this is healthy for Litecoin. I'm glad this correction is taking place right now. I believe we needed time to cool off, cool down, so that we can set potentially a nice higher low off this trend line here in green is what we'd like to see this trend line hold here, guys, and we get a nice bounce off it. Right now we're on the 4-hour candle and we are having a long wick, basically a doji candle or hammer candle up in here, guys. A lot of indecision right there, right around this trend line, because we've basically held this trend line now since April 29th. We've been in this nice uptrend here. So if we end up breaking down through this now, guys, all of a sudden down through this trend line here, then we'd start looking down around potentially that $105 to $100 area if that trend line doesn't hold. Now, if this trend line holds, what we have to be careful of, sometimes you'll have a drop down onto a trend line like this, guys, and then we'll come back up and we'll actually fail, and sometimes you can drop even farther down. So that's an option. Another option is that we actually get a nice bounce off here and we come back up and set another higher high. Other option is we get a bounce off this and we actually get back within this trend line right here that we've been looking at for a while, and then we continue to start moving up. But right now what I am looking at, and a reason why I think it's not a terrible position if you're getting in quick here, guys, our stock RSI is at 0.0011, so we're extremely oversold right now. I'm waiting to see if we do have a doji close within this trend line, and maybe that's a good spot to pick up a few more for a potential move back up to try to test this lower trend line here around, I'd say, guys, around first that 128, then we'd look up to around that 130. So that's always a potential. Then you can kind of reassess your situation. But what we'd also want to do, you can see this 200-day moving average in white right here. We're now below that, guys. We need to get back up above that. Okay, remember this is on the 4-hour, but we're all about chasing trends. And do you see this one here, guys? So we'll just do a rough trend line break here. So do you see this trend that we had here? We're having lower highs and lower lows, and then once we finally broke out of that, look how long this trend lasted here, basically all of May and most of June, guys. So this was basically a 2-month trend here. So this was a short-term uptrend that we were dealing with. And that's what I like to do. Short term is 0 to 3 months, intermediate terms 3 to 6, and then longer term is anywhere from 6 to longer or a year to longer. I've heard both in the books that I read in terms of describing a longer term bull or bear market. Okay, but we want to chase these trends, just like how we saw this trend line break here. If we have a trend line break here, guys, and we start having candle closes below this on the 1-day chart, then we may have a shot at really running down low to that 105 to $100 area. Okay, so I want to put that on your radar. Pay very close attention to trend line breaks and closes below this main trend line that I've been looking at. They can be very significant and very important, guys. Okay, so that's what we wanted to look at there. Now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to get this little symmetrical triangle off here. So we'll break off there. And what we had, guys, we basically had a 5% failure. We broke out of that upper trend line, and you can see all the wicks, the profit taken. We wicked up about 5%, and then we actually fell back down through the pattern. And that's what my book, Encyclopedia Chart Patterns, talks about. First, they said throwbacks happen about 37% of the time. So that's when you'll have a breakout, and then you'll actually come back and back test that initial trend line that you had. And a lot of times you'll actually move farther. But this was a busted pattern. And what my book says about busted patterns is busted patterns perform better than the originals. The best performance comes from patterns near the yearly low. Throwbacks hurt performance. Tall and narrow patterns perform better than any other combination. So those are the things that you want to look at and you want to pay close attention to. Next one, what I'm going to do here, guys, we're going to go out to the 1-day chart and take a look at this and see how this looks. So look how oversold we are on the 1-day now. We're at 0.78 and 0.78. So my opinion is, what I would like to see, guys, is a daily candle close up above this green trend line. And I feel like we could do that with where we're sitting with the stochastic RSI. We need a cross on it, though. But remember yesterday I was talking about this 20 EMA and how important it was, and I was mentioning if we had a candle close below that, guys, we may fall down to that red line that I've had around that 119.29. That was an area I was looking at. Then I was looking down to that 101.50. Okay, but that's the importance. Remember, we had a candle close below that 20-day EMA, and you see what happened. So I really like to pay attention to this, guys. And remember, this 20 EMA, this 50, this 100, and 200, they were all pointing up. So now that we've lost this 20, you're going to start to see that act as some resistance. So it's important that we get back up above that as soon as possible. But we are in oversold conditions right now, guys. We're really low, and typically when you get down low like this, we will get some type of a bounce. Sometimes it takes longer. Do you see down in here, guys? So from April 13th all the way till April 30th, our stochastic was pegged out in oversold territory. But what happened once we finally got that nice, beautiful cross and started moving up? This trend happened. You see that? What we also had, we wicked down to this 50 moving average, so we tested that, and we've actually seen some buying off that. Some people picking up some Litecoin right there. Next one I want to go to is our RSI. But this, in my opinion, guys, I'm happy about it. I think it's another shot to buy some cheaper Litecoin. I think we needed some correction. It's healthy for the market overall. I mean, Bitcoin, what it was doing was not healthy. You guys remember when it went from $10,000 to $20,000 in 13 days or whatever last time, what happened after it? We had a huge crash. Anything that goes straight up is not healthy. We want to build support and resistance levels. That's what we're looking for, guys. So right now on the RSI, we are pointing straight down. We're at 42 right now. So we're just going to have to see what happens. But you can see this trend line break and the power of trend line breaks off the RSI, like I keep trying to mention to you guys. Do you see that? How we broke down through? And we broke down through on this candle right here. That was the time to get out. And then you saw that, and we made that fall. Next one I want to take a look at here is our MACD. See how that's looking if we're getting a downward cross. Yes, guys, we have had that downward confirmation cross. And you can see that as well. That's right up here, where we had this bearish engulfing candle after what looks to be like a shooting star candle with a nice little profit taking up there. So we want to look at that, but you can see all these indicators. They were telling us that we had that potential to really move to the downside here, and that's what's happening. Remember, we were taking a look at the Bollinger Bands, and we were really outside of the Bollinger Bands. Now this is good, guys. We've calmed down, so we're back below the middle band now. We wicked down to the bottom part of these bands, and that's where you started to see some buying up. So right now, in my opinion, guys, start looking for areas that you potentially could go long on. And this isn't financial advice, but if you're looking to get into Litecoin and you don't have any Litecoin and you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, 118, you know, after we've had this type of a sell-off that we just had, our stochastic at the zeros, you know, this is the time when potentially we could get a bounce off this trend line if we can close up above it. But like I said, I want to emphasize if we can close up above it, guys. And how I like to work trend lines, you can see this is my main trend line. This is the one that we need to stay up above. And then you can break it up into this trend line. You see that? And what happened was basically our price just went so parabolic, we have to basically do a fanning technique on these trend lines, guys. So, you know, that's what I was looking at. I don't want to keep you too long here. Just wanted to make this a shorter video. But these are the things that we really need to pay attention to, guys, and realize that corrections will come. Everyone who's saying, oh, you know, we're just going to go to the moon right away, it doesn't work like that. And if it does happen like that, it's not healthy, and most likely there's going to be a massive sell-off after that. And what happened here on the Fibonacci, guys, when we take the swing low up to the swing high here, we actually wick down through the 0.236. We're going to see today if we close back up above that. And guys, if all the retracement that we had is the 0.236, that is still extremely bullish. A real correction would put us down around 98, so that's 0.382, around $98, and then that 0.5 as low as $83 is what some people are looking at in terms of an actual Fibonacci correction that would be healthier, would be down around this area. Okay, somewhere in there. But we're just going to have to wait. We're going to have to be patient. We're going to have to see how these moving averages respond. Remember, first that 20 EMA, then the 50, then we're going to be looking at that 100, and then the 200. And these are what we need to continue to have as support, guys. In that bear market, they were consistent resistance. And if you bounce out to this, just to give you a quick example, then I'll let you go here. You see how we're up above all of them besides that 20 now? Look over here. Look for how long. Do you see this, guys? The 20, the 50, the 100 and the 200 were all over top of us, acting like a river. You see how each time we get up to that 20, we maybe get through it a little bit and then we'd fall back down. Get up, get through it a little bit, fall back down. And now things have changed. See right here, guys, lower highs, lower lows, and now we've had that switch to higher highs and higher lows. So now we're looking for that nice healthy correction. You know, even these corrections weren't real big, guys. We pulled back onto here, wasn't a huge correction. Here wasn't a huge correction. This was a nice correction. So we had that blast off. Then we had a nice throwback there. So those are the things that I'm looking at. I really hope you guys get something out of this. You know, the thing that I can express the most to you is don't FOMO. There's typically always another chance, guys. Look at these. Blast off, what happened? Came all the way back down. Blast off, came back down. This major blast off came back down. So there's always going to be more opportunities. And I think one of the worst things that you can do is FOMO into positions, because that's what really gets people in trouble. But, you know, we're looking at Litecoin right now. We're about 119. We saw a nice healthy correction. We're down 9%. Start really looking into this, guys. Pay attention to that stochastic cross as well. We want to see if we get a nice stochastic cross at the bottom. And also, this, guys, is at 7:31 a.m. I'm not sure if I'm going to label this for 10:30 a.m. So I just wanted to let you know that things may change slightly or just a little bit there. So wanted to bring this to you guys. I apologize for holding you too long, but I wanted to get this stuff in. Appreciate you. God bless.